This is my All About Me assignment for Education 150 with Dr. Yates by Danielle Anderson. So our first page right now is About Me. I graduated from Ithaca Public Schools. I'm currently finishing up my junior year here at Alma College. I am pursuing a degree in educational studies with a focus in special education with a minor in psychology. My overall career goal is to work in the field of social work. Throughout my time at Alma, I've had many opportunities to be involved in multiple different organizations, such as the Alma College Spirit Squad, Phi Sigma Sigma Sorority, and the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which is SAC, which is basically where we go to a meeting everyone from a team goes to a meeting together, and we all sit down and talk about things that are important to us, such as volunteer work. We vote on some standards that other D3 colleges get to vote on and all of that stuff. And then we take it back to our teams and we gather their opinions on it. So that's a little bit about that. For our criterion reference test, it is a style of test which uses test scores to generate a statement about the behavior that can be expected of a person with that score. So right here we have an average bell curve. So generally students fall in this average category. Above average is anywhere between the percentiles of 50 to 100, and below average is 50 to 0. Next, we have a formative assessment, which is a wide variety of methods that teachers use to conduct an in-process evaluation of students' comprehension, learning needs, and academic progress during a lesson, unit, or course. So this is a couple things that teachers can do for formative assessment moves. Tagging, bouncing, probing, pausing, posing, priming, binning. So those are just a couple of things that teachers generally use in this circumstance. A summative assessment is an assessment of participants where the focus is on the outcome of a program. Some types of summative assessments can be essays or reports, multiple choice exam, presentations, portfolios, or oral exams. And then we have the triangulation assessment, which is a process by which a teacher collects evidence about student learning. This evidence is collected from 3 different sources, which is conversations, observations, and products. So then we have the Brugance testing. There's a Brugance testing for math grade placement and for reading comprehension. So basically for your math grade placement, you have the teacher sit one-on-one with a student and they go through the packet, and after every page that a student fills out, the teacher then goes back and they check over all the answers to see if the student got the correct answers, and if the student got the correct answers, they can move on to the next page until they get one wrong. For a reading comprehension Brugance test, if they're at a very young age, the teacher can read to the student and then ask them questions to see if they comprehended it okay. But if a child is in the older grades, anywhere from first grade up, the student would read the passage to the teacher and then try to answer the questions, and then they would take that score out of 100 to compare with a national score for all children within that age category. So results of a Brugance test. Since I technically did not go into a classroom to perform these because of coronavirus, I got a couple different performance sheets off the internet. These were obviously anonymously gotten. So on the top left is the teacher completion chart. And so it shows the child's age over here on the side. Ages 5 through 0, 5 to 5. Their average age is 17, 16. An average below score is anything below the score of 12. So that's kind of how you would read that and score a child on it. On the top right, it kind of shows the percentiles chart. It's kind of like a bell curve again. And then near the bottom with the white and blue lines, it talks about the standard score of what is below average, what is within average, slightly above average, and then so on. So results in comparison to planning instruction. The results of a Brugance test allow teachers to structure their curriculum to the student's needs. For example, if a student is struggling with fractions, or if they're struggling to pronounce hard consonants and pronunciation, the teacher can add creative ways of teaching this subject to get the child more engaged, or have extra skills in this area so that all the children or students can work on mastering this goal. If there's only one particular child that struggles in specific areas, that teacher can have one-on-one lessons with them, but that may be kind of hard, so it may be easier to have an aide or a parapro work with this child one-on-one during extra assistant times. I'm also basing this information based off of younger elementary students just because that's where I've personally seen this used. So generally an aide or a parapro comes into the class at least once a day. Sometimes they have some students that get taken out for like extra reading assistance. During those times is where they can work on those extra things with the kids. Then we have individualized instruction, which is a method of teaching that tailors content, instructional technology, and pace to the abilities and interests of each learner. An example of this type of lesson would be if a student is struggling in reading, a teacher could have an aide read with the student every single day. That way the student is consistently working on their struggled some areas. The picture to the right just are some different ways that a teacher can have individualized instruction with a student and some things that may impact it. So environment may impact it, or student grouping could impact that, and so on. In conclusion, throughout this course, I've learned a lot about how to test a student and where that student should be placed based on the outcome of this test. I've also learned a lot about the creative individual learning for specific students who may need extra assistance anywhere as well. And then this last slide here is research relation. So this had to do with the article that was posted on Moodle. And basically I just said that it is important to know what symptoms and behavioral signs to look for when teaching children with a learning disability. Generally, this falls into two categories, which is internal behaviors and external behaviors. Internal behaviors include students being quiet or withdrawn. These students are generally easily embarrassed by attention and worry about academic weakness being seen by other students. Where external behaviors include students who are generally loud and very disruptive. These students constantly are blurting out wrong answers, breaking many rules, are aggressive towards their peers generally. Overall, these students just need extra guidance. That is a step-by-step process because they have poor memory skills, so that it may be easy for them to forget things overall in the long run. So it's easier to work with them and just kind of remind them of the step-by-step process that they go through.